Okay, we shouldn't need any props today, but if there's anything you like to have, you can definitely grab it, but nothing specific we'll be doing. I'm trying a new angle for you. I think this is going to work a little bit better. I feel like I can see both of you. Sometimes I feel cut off from one or the other. So we're going to try this one. Okay, so welcome to Mellow Flow. I'm Tiffany. Today, no real specific thing that we're doing, just a mellow flow. But I just want to remind you to listen to your own body. If we've gone through it too many times and you're done, take a child's pose. If a pose doesn't work for you, I think I'm pretty good at giving modifications. So take that if you need it. It's not like good or bad way to do it. It's just you have to listen to your body and do what works for your body. So just keep that in mind. And we will go ahead and get started. We'll start out in a comfortable seated position. And start to close your eyes. Start to quiet your thoughts. And deepen and lengthen your breath. And then just leave aside the week that happened, whatever you have to do next today. And just allow yourself to be present in this moment. Next, start to even out your breath. So make your inhale and your exhale the same length. So if you're inhaling for 5 seconds, make your exhale 5 seconds, or whatever the number may be. But don't rush it, just nice, slow, even breaths. And once you've figured out your even breath, with each exhale, let go of anything that's no longer serving you. Let go of your stresses and worries, any negativity. Do 2 more rounds of breath this way. And then return to your natural breath. Next, start to wiggle your spine up a little straighter. And then tuck your chin slightly. So sitting up nice and tall, elongating the neck. And then inhale, shrug your shoulders up to your ears. And then exhale, slide the shoulder blades down the back and open the chest, sitting up even taller. Again, inhale, shoulders up. Exhale down. One more time, inhale. And exhale. And then you can slowly start to open your eyes. We're going to start out today with a neck stretch. So we'll bring the right arm up into the air, touch the left ear, and then bring your right ear over to your right shoulder. If I'm confusing you, I'm trying to mirror you, so I'll mess it up, I'm sure. And then if you could place your left hand down on the floor beside you if you need a little bit more stretch. Maybe walk the hand out even farther for more stretch. Then try to relax that left shoulder down away from the ear, allowing the side of the neck to open up. One more deep breath here. And then release and bring everything back to center. And we'll do it on the other side. So lifting the left arm up into the air, touching the right ear, and then bringing that left ear over towards the left shoulder. You can keep your hand right here on your leg or place it out beside you. And the more you walk it out, the more stretch you'll get. It'll go down further and further. Relax the right shoulder down away from the ear. Just allowing the tension you're holding on to in your neck and your shoulders to release. One more breath here. And then inhale, come back up to center. And then we'll just kind of roll out the neck and the shoulders. And then bringing everything back to the center, we're going to place the hands on top of your knees for a seated cat-cow. So we're going to round the spine and press the spine back behind you, tuck your chin, rounding just as much as you're able to or as much as it feels good. And then coming forward, lift the chest and chin for cow. Round for cat. Lift for cow. One more time, rounding for cat. And lifting for cow. And then return back to neutral spine. Keeping your hands where they're at, we're going to circle around and do some torso circles. So getting the spine warmed up this morning. Hips warmed up a little bit. Just take your circles at whatever size feels good, doesn't matter. And then we'll turn and circle the other way. And bring it back to center. Good. Next, we're going to bring our legs into cow face. So we're going to bring the right knee and face it to about the center of your mat. And then try to stack this left knee on top of that. It may look more like this. That's okay. And if that just doesn't work, just stay in cross-leg position. That's totally fine. So if you're here and you want to go any deeper, you can bring your feet, shin, knees all in a line, or you could just kind of stay with it back here. Just no right or wrong, just whatever feels good today. Then making sure you're evenly seated no matter where you're at. And then stretch your arms out, stretching through the fingertips, open the chest. Good, then we're gonna bring the left arm underneath the right arm. You can stop at your shoulders or come into eagle arms, wrapping your arms around each other, bringing the palms together, and then bring the palms up closer towards your forehead. And straightening the spine, sitting up nice and tall. Taking a couple of breaths here, getting a nice stretch in the shoulders and hips. Then you can stay here, or you can start to lean forward and bring your elbows down towards your knees or your legs. You might be able to touch the elbows to the knees. And then inhale, come back up. Good, and then coming forward. Inhale, back up. Next, exhale, coming forward. And inhale, back up, sitting up nice and tall again. One more breath. And then release, shake that all out. You can maybe wiggle your knees out. If you're cross-leg, cross the other way. And if you did the cow face, switch your top and bottom legs. So it should be left on bottom, right on top now. Setting up whichever way works best for you. And then bringing the arms out, stretching through the fingertips. Now we're going to bring the right arm underneath the left arm, stopping at the shoulders or coming into eagle arm. So even if you stop at the shoulders, you can still come forward as long as that feels okay. And then bringing the hands up closer to the forehead if you're in eagle arms. Couple of breaths here, enjoying the stretch. And then you can stay here or start to lean forward, even if it's just a little bit. Elbows maybe to the legs. And then come back up. And come forward. And back up. Good, one more time, coming forward. And coming back up, sitting up tall, taking another breath here. And then release, shaking that all out. And when you're ready, we're going to come into butterfly. So we'll bring the bottoms of the feet together. You can have the feet as far or as close as you'd like. To bring them closer, you can pick your feet up and just scoot them closer. And to go even closer, you can bring your hands behind you, scoot yourself closer, and that will automatically, you can see the knees just drop open a little bit more there if you need that. Then we'll bring the fingertips out in front of you. You can stay there or maybe slowly start to walk forward. This can be really tight in the inner thighs, so just listen to your body. Maybe pause a couple of breaths and then see if you have any more to go. And then pause. No rush to get anywhere. One more breath here. And then on your next inhale, slowly walk back in. Bring the knees together, and then we're going to bring the legs straight out in front of us. Wiggle the knees out a little bit. And then see if you can straighten your legs a little bit more all the way and flex the feet. Good, then inhale, sweep the arms up into the air. Exhale, fold forward. Let your hands just fall wherever they fall. Take a breath there. And then inhale, slowly slide back up, arms go up. Exhale, come forward. Hands drop and pause. And inhale, slowly roll up, arms go up. And exhale, coming forward. This time go to wherever you get the best stretch. So you can hang onto your feet or your ankles and just fold forward. One more breath here. And then release and slowly roll back up. Sitting up tall. Now we're going to bring the right foot outside of the left leg. And then twist open to your right. So you can place your left hand outside of your leg, right hand behind you, or to get even more twist, you can press your elbow into the outside of your knee. And then inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. And then one more time, inhale, lengthen, exhale. See if you have any more room to twist. And inhale, come back to center. Stretching the legs out, flex the feet. And then we'll bring the left foot outside of the right foot, twist open to the left. So you can place the hand outside the leg, or for a little bit more, press the elbow into the leg. And then inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. And one more time, inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist, maybe just a little bit more. And then inhale, come back to center, straightening the legs out, flexing the feet. And then we're going to swing the legs around and come onto hands and knees. So make sure that your wrists are right underneath your shoulders, knees are under hips, and feet in line with knees. And then we'll do some cat-cow stretches here. So rounding the spine, press the spine up towards the ceiling, tuck the chin for cat. And then drop the belly, lift the chin for cow. Round for cat. Drop and lift for cow. Do one more set of these. And then return to a neutral spine. So in your neutral spine, try to straighten your spine like we did at the very beginning, straightening it up. And then imagine taking the top of your head to whatever's in front of you. If it's a wall, just stretching the top of your head to that. And that will automatically engage your core for you. Good, next we're gonna bring the right leg out behind you, coming up onto your toes. And then we're gonna press the heel back as if you're trying to touch it to your mat. And then so we're looking for a calf stretch. So if you need a little more stretch, use your hands to press yourself back a little bit more. And then bring the heel back to center. Now we're gonna lift that leg and bring it off and over to the left, still on the toes. And then turn and look at the toes, getting a stretch down that right side. And then bring that leg back to center. Now we're gonna straighten that leg, bringing it straight out from the hips, pointing the toes. And then if you're noticing that you're leaning over to the left, straighten yourself back up. Engaging the core again. Then you can stay here, or you can also lift your left arm out in front of you, stretching through the fingers, through the toes. And then we're gonna crunch the elbow and the knee in towards each other. And then bring it back out. So we'll try it 2 more times, crunching it in. And bring it out. Last one, crunch it in. And bring it out. Stretch and hold through the fingers and the toes. And then set that hand and knee down. And go ahead and circle around, stretching the wrists, or take a child's pose if you would need that more. And then coming back to center. So now we'll do it all on the other side. So left leg comes out behind us. We're gonna come up onto the toes and press that heel back, finding your calf stretch, using your hands to press back if you need a little bit more. Good, and then bring the heel back to center. Then we're gonna lift the leg off and over to the right, still on the toes, and turn and look at those toes, stretching that whole left side. And then bring that leg back to center. Now we're gonna bring it straight out from the hip, point the toes, even yourself up if you feel like you might be leaning. You can stay here or also lift the right arm out in front of you. Now you can stay here, you don't have to do the crunches, or you can add those crunches, crunching the elbow and the knee in, and bring it out. Crunch it in, bring it out. One more time, crunch it in, and bring it out. Stretch and hold through the fingers and the toes. And then set that hand and knee down. Take your knees wide on your mat, and then sit back for a wide knee child's pose. Maybe doing some wrist stretches or wrist circles while you're down there. Stretching the arms to the top of the mat. Taking a couple of breaths. And then on your next inhale, slowly lifting back up to tabletop, hands and knees. Bring your knees back underneath your hips. And then we're gonna tuck the toes, lift the hips, and pressing the ribs in towards the thighs, come into a really bent leg downward dog. So as if you're trying to get your ribs and your thighs to touch each other. Good, then straighten your legs just a little bit more. Then we're gonna straighten the right leg all the way and press the heel down towards the mat. Keep the left knee bent. And then switch. Left heel comes down, right knee bends. And switch. And last time, switch. And then we're gonna try to press both heels down towards the mat. It's okay if they don't touch, just pressing them down, getting a nice stretch down your legs. And then imagine somebody's grabbing your hips and pressing them up towards the ceiling. So press your hips up towards the ceiling. Good, and now we're gonna move forward and come into a plank. You can put your knees down if you need to. Good, then we're gonna bend the knees, come back to that bent knee downward dog. Straighten the legs, downward dog. Move forward into plank. Come into the bent knee downward dog. Straighten the legs. And plank, last one. Bent knee downward dog. Straighten the legs. And plank. Good, now we're just gonna press back to downward dog or take a child's pose if you need that. If you're in downward dog, see if you can press your heels down a little bit more. And then when you're ready, we're going to come into a forward fold. So looking up between the hands and walking the feet up. Forward fold at the top of the mat. And then see if you can place your fingertips or your fingernails in line with your toenails. You can keep the knees bent a little bit. Lift the hips up towards the ceiling and fold a little bit more, bringing your head closer to your legs. And then inhale, half lift, straighten the legs, flatten the back. Place your hands wherever you get a flat back, different for everybody. And then forward fold. And then inhale, sweep the arms up nice and slow. Good. Then we're going to bring the palms together, stretch up and maybe look up, maybe adding a little back bend. And then release the hands. We're going to bring the hands behind you, clasp your hands behind your back and start to fold forward, lifting the hands away from the back. You might be able to come all the way down, bringing the hands all the way up, but wherever you're at is fine. And then drop the hands and come into a half lift. And forward fold. Now we're going to place the hands underneath the shoulders, step back into a plank, knees up or knees down. And then slowly lower down onto your belly. Tops of the feet into the mat, squeeze from your big toes all the way up to your butt, squeeze that all together. Then squeeze your elbows in towards your ribs. Slowly start to sliding the shoulders down the back, keeping the elbows squeezed in. And tuck the toes and press back, downward dog. This can always be a child's pose if you need it to be. And then looking up between the hands, walking the feet up, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, sweeping the arms up nice and big and slow. Palms together, maybe look up or maybe add a back bend. And then exhale and clasp your hands behind you, folding forward, lifting the arms. Drop the hands and come into a half lift. And exhale, fold. And then plant the hands, step back into a plank. And slowly lower down. Toss the feet into the mat, squeeze everything in. Slide the shoulder blades down the back and slowly to lift the chest. And lower down. And then tuck the toes, press back, downward dog. Looking up between the hands, walk your feet up, forward fold. Half lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. This is our last one. Palms together, maybe look up, maybe back bend. Exhale, release the hands, clasp the hands behind you, folding forward. Drop the hands and inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step back for our last plank. And lower down. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, squeeze everything in, lift cobra. And lower down. Tuck the toes, press back, downward dog. Pressing the heels down towards the mat or taking a child's pose if you need it. And then looking up between the hands, we're going to walk our feet up, forward fold. And then looking at your feet, separate your feet just a little bit. So you've got, I don't know, a few inches in between there. And then we're going to bend the knees a lot, lift the arms and come into chair pose. Good. Next, we're going to step the left foot back and come into warrior one. So your back heel's down, bending the front knee. So this first set, we're going to kind of work on the alignment and be in these poses a little bit longer. So bending the front knee, make sure you can see at least one or two of your toes on the inside of your knee. And then kind of roll this left hip forward a little bit more. Stretch up even taller. Good. Now we're going to open up into warrior two. So you're going to straighten this back foot, making sure that your heel is still to about the center of your back arch, pressing firmly through that outer edge of the foot, still looking for your toes on the inside of your knees, stretching the arms out, opening the chest. Point the tailbone straight down, looking over the right fingertips. From here, keeping the legs exactly as they are, there we go. Drop the back hand, bring the right arm up and over. Reverse warrior. Good. Now we're going to straighten the front leg. Slide your right hand down your leg for a triangle. So stop wherever you need to stop. You don't have to come all the way to the floor unless you want to. Left arm comes straight up from the shoulder. See if you can bring your head more in line with the front foot. Keeping the legs as they are, we're going to come into reverse triangle, just like our reverse warrior, but with straight legs. So right arm comes up and over. From here, we're going to bend the front elbow, front knee, come into side angle. So bring this left arm straight up to start with. Press firmly through that back edge of your back straight leg and foot rather. And then you can keep this arm here, or you can bring it parallel with your ear, stretching even more through the fingertips as you press even more through that back foot. Good. Now we're going to lift and turn towards the front leg, move the back foot a little bit, coming back to our warrior one. Good. Step the back foot forward, chair pose. And then straighten the legs, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, and hold this here for a couple of breaths. And exhale, fold. Now, bending the knees a lot, straightening the arms, coming back to chair pose, doing this on the other side. We're going to step the right foot back this time, warrior one. So looking for those toes, or one toe at least on the inside of your knee, pressing through that back heel. And then see if you can roll this right hip in first and then stretch up even more. Good, then open up into warrior two. So now this back foot kind of wiggles to straight. Keep looking for the toes, tailbone tucks down, stretching through the fingertips, looking over the left fingertips. Now keeping the legs as they are, drop the back hand, left arm comes up and over. Reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg, slide that hand as little or as much down that leg as you want, lifting the right arm straight up from your shoulder, bringing the head in line with your front foot and hand. And then inhale, coming up, reverse triangle, keeping the legs straight. And then bend the front elbow, front knee, side angle, lifting the arm straight up first. You can keep it there or bring it parallel with your ear. And then press through that back foot, stretch through the fingertips. And then turn and face the front foot. So now you got to wiggle that back foot a little bit differently. Stretching up. And then step the back foot forward, chair pose. Straighten the legs, swan dive, forward fold. So we're going to move through this. Come into half lift while I'm talking to you, sorry. Come into half lift so your head's above your heart. We're going to move through this one more time. We're not going to hold the poses quite so long, so it'll go a little bit quicker, but not too fast to where we can't get to the poses. Couple more breaths. And forward fold. Bending the knees, stretching the arms up, chair pose. Step the left foot back, warrior one. Open up, warrior two. Drop the back hand, right arm comes up and over, reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg, slide the hand down, triangle. And then sliding back up into the reverse triangle, keeping the knees straight if possible. And then moving into side angle. Turn and face that front foot, warrior one. Step the back foot forward, chair pose. Straighten the legs, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift and pause here. And exhale, fold. Bend the knees, stretch the arms up. Step the right foot back, warrior one on the left side. Open up to warrior two. Drop the back hand, reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg, triangle. Keep the legs straight, reverse triangle. Bend the front elbow, front knee, side angle. Turn towards that front foot, warrior one. Step the back foot forward, chair. Stretch the legs straight, stretch up tall, and swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And add a little bend to your knees and grab opposite elbows and just hang. Let your upper body relax. Lower back release. Maybe sway side to side. And then release the elbows and slowly, one vertebrae at a time, come up to standing, nice and slow. Make your head the very last thing to come up. And then coming into mountain pose when you get all the way up. Take a breath here. And if you need a drink of water, go ahead and grab one. And we'll move on to our balancing pose. So today we're going to work on eagle pose. So we kind of did some seated eagle. So now we're going to work on standing eagle. So the arms we already did. That's where we cross like we did in the beginning. You have the option for shoulders. So now for the legs. So we'll start with the right foot. So you can cross this leg over and just kind of prop it up. You still have to balance. It's still working. So it's, again, what works for you. So just kind of prop that foot up next to your leg, gives you a little kickstand. Or you can kind of lift that foot, put your leg somewhere on your right, or put your foot somewhere on your right leg. Or to come into this all the way, you're going to bend the right knee and wrap that leg around. So stop. If you can get some of the way, that's okay. Or if you can hook that foot around your leg, and then you'll bring the knees back to center. So we can go through that. So find the one that works for you. Try them out too. See if that feels good, or this feels good, or if you want to squat down and wrap. And then once you find that, you can stay here and you can put your hands at heart center or stretch the arms out into T. And then we'll be bringing the left arm underneath the right arm. So you can come to the shoulders or to eagle arms. And then if you're in eagle arms, bring your palms up closer to your forehead. See if your legs are all the way into eagle as well. See if you can bring your knees more towards the center. One more breath wherever you're at. And then release. Shake that out. Remember, balancing poses are kind of fun. Don't take it too seriously. If you fall, laugh and get up. It's okay. We can't see you anyway. But just have fun with it. So play around with what works for you. Don't worry about what doesn't. So left foot, same thing. See what works. It might be different. Sometimes you have one stronger ankle than the other. So figure it out. See what's going to work on that side. And then when you're ready, you can add the arms. Remember, you can stay with hands at heart center, or you can stretch them out, bring the right under the left, stop at the shoulders, or come into eagle arms. If you're in eagle arms, bring your hands up towards your forehead. If your legs are in eagle all the way, bring your knees more towards the center. Straighten the spine wherever you're at. fall out, just try to go back in. One more breath. And then release and shake that all out. Good. Now we're going to bring our legs a little bit wide. So maybe just a tiny bit wider than this width of your mat. So if you want to turn on your mat so you don't slip. So we're not doing a really wide stance like we do sometimes. We're doing it like just a little bit wide. Then we're going to put the hands on the hips, stretch the spine up tall. Knees straight if that feels okay, but add a little bend if you need to. So stretching up. Then we're going to start to hinge at the hips and bringing the top of your head as if you're trying to bring it to, for us, we have a wall here. If we're trying to stretch our head to that wall, and whatever you have at home that's right in front of you, imagine you're trying to touch the top of your head to that. So it's more about lengthening than folding right now. If you can go a little bit deeper, go a little bit deeper. And then now you can release the hands and fold, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, letting your body fold. Inhale, lift the head. Now we're going to walk the hands. I'm going to go back to my correct feet because now we're going the same way. So come over your right leg. So a lot of times in these, we turn the toes all the way out. We're not doing that stretch. So just make sure that your toes are going right in line with your knee. That's what's important for this one. And then fold over that leg. A little bit different stretch. So you might have to kind of move your right ribs off and over. Folding your head towards your right knee. And then on the next inhale, walk back to center. And then we're going to walk over to the left leg. So just turning the toes out only enough to be in line with the knee, and then folding over the leg. On the next inhale, come back to center, folding one more time. And then on your next inhale, start to lift your head, walk your hands out a little bit more, heel toe your feet in a little bit. And if you turned on your mat, we're gonna, well, it's fine, we'll do it right here, we're good. So your feet are now just a little bit wider than hips, hopefully. So turn your heels in a little bit, toes out a little bit, start to bend your knees and squat down, coming into Malasana. So you can stop anywhere along the way, or you can sit on the mat and hold your knees open that way. Or to come into Malasana, you'll press your elbows into your inside of your knees, hands at heart center, and then use your hands to press your knees even more. Straighten the spine. One more breath here. Good, and then release your hands down. We're gonna turn, if you turned on your mat, turn back towards your regular way and come to hands and knees. So from here, we're gonna come into pigeon pose. So before we go into that, if pigeon pose doesn't work for you, you'll come onto your back and either do the figure 4 pose, so just like this, or eye of the needle, which is this one. So if that doesn't work, just ignore everything I say and lay on your back and do those instead. It'll still get a good hip stretch. So if we're coming into pigeon, and some people like to come into pigeon from downward dog, so feel free to do it that way if you'd rather. So we're gonna bring the right knee to the inside of the right wrist, slide your left leg out behind you. Now this leg, it's always a question, should my leg be this way or does it need to be out here? It doesn't matter, it's just different versions of the pose. There's no right or wrong, whatever feels good to you. Now you can stay upright, or you can come down onto your elbows, or maybe you can come all the way down onto your forearms. Allowing the Two more breaths here. And on your next inhale, slowly start to lift the head, slowly pushing yourself back up. To come out, you can sit off to the side and then bring your leg around, or you can just bring it straight back. And then bring your knees wide and come into that wide knee child's pose. If you're on your back, I can't tell. So if you're on your back, just hug your knees in at this point. It's just a reclined child's pose. One more breath here. And then on your next inhale, slowly lifting the head, coming forward back to hands and knees, bringing the knees back underneath the hips. And then we'll bring that left knee to the inside of the left wrist, sliding the right leg back. If you're on your back, just switch your sides. And you can stay upright, come down onto your elbows, maybe make a forearm pillow. Nice deep breaths into that left hip. Take 2 more breaths here. And then on your next inhale, slowly start to lift back up, pushing yourself back up. Coming out of the pose, however it feels best to you, and then taking the knees wide on the mat again, coming into that wide knee child's pose. Again, if you're on your back, hug the knees into the chest. And see if you can stretch your arms up to the top of the mat even more. Maybe let your hips sink a little bit deeper. One more breath here. And then on the next inhale, slowly rolling back up to seated. If you're on your back, just stay there. We're going to be joining you. And then you can swing the legs around and making sure there's room behind you. So you might want to scoot forward on your mat. And then bringing the feet to the mat, bending the knees, grabbing onto your shins and helping yourself sit up even taller. And then bring your arms out in front of you. And then slowly start to lower down onto your mat. If this doesn't feel good on your tailbone, you can just come to laying down. And then lift your arms up overhead. Walk your feet in a little bit closer. You could stay there or maybe lift your hips up off of the mat. Holding that there, keeping the knees in line with the hips. And then slowly lower down. And then hug your knees into your chest. You can rock side to side if that feels good. And then bring the knees back to center. So we're going to let the left foot go down onto the mat, but we're going to keep this right leg up. Clasp your hands behind your thigh and then start to straighten that right leg. We're going for a pointed toe at first, straightening the leg as much as you're able to, pointing the toes. Good, and now flex the foot. See if you might have a little bit deeper to hug that leg in. So hugging it maybe a little closer and then point again. Maybe hug a little bit closer and flex again. And then point the toe, release that leg and slowly lower that leg long along the mat. When the foot reaches the mat, stretch through the right toes. as much as you're able to. Keep stretching. And then you can slide that foot back in, bending the knee, and we'll grab onto the left thigh. So straightening that leg, coming to our pointed toe first. And then flex. And then see if you have any more room to hug a little bit more. And then point. You go a little bit deeper, and then flex. If you have any deeper, last time, and then point. And then release that leg, slowly leg long along the mat. And the foot reaches the mat, pointing through those toes as much as you can. Keep stretching, stretching, stretching. And then also stretch the right leg back out, stretching through both toes, both sets of toes, stretching your feet. And then lift your arms up overhead for a full body stretch. Take a deep breath here. But then we're going to bring the arms out into a T. Bring your feet back to the mat. And then move your hips a little bit over to the left and drop your knees over to the right. If you'd like, you can look over the left fingertips. And if you need a little more twist, you can place your right foot on top of your left knee to help weigh that down a little bit. Maybe pressing the inner side of your left knee closer to the mat. Bringing out any last little bits of stress you may be holding on to. That's what twists do. They are stress relievers, they are detoxifying. Three more rounds of deep breaths here. If you placed your right foot on top of your knee, place the foot back down and gently bring everything back to the center. Bring your hips back to where they were, everything back to the center. And then we'll drop the hips a little bit over to the right and the knees over to the left. Maybe looking over the right fingertips. And if you want to place that left foot on top of the right knee for a little deeper twist. Take 3 more rounds of deep breaths here. And then on the next inhale, gently bring everything back to the center, readjusting the hips. And then again, hugging the knees into the chest. Now taking your palms to the tops of your knees so your fingers are pointing towards your toes. Just circle your knees around like you're stirring a big pot. Just a little massage on the lower back. And then circle the other way. Some cracks Mine always cracks one way. This is the way. And then bring the knees back to center. Let the feet come to the mat. Let your arms drop down by your side. Slowly, one leg at a time, stretching your legs out on the mat. We're getting ready to come into Shavasana. So if there's anything you need to do to be more comfortable, go ahead and do that now. And then when you're ready, laying on your back with your eyes closed. Quieting the thoughts, deepening and lengthening your breath, and allowing your body to take in your yoga practice. And starting with the top of your head, imagine the tension melting out of your forehead, out of your jaw, and out of your neck. And imagine the tension melting out of your chest and shoulders, arms and hands. Imagine the tension melting out of your back, abdomen, hips, legs, and feet, until your whole body is completely relaxed. You have nothing to do for the next few minutes but relax. Shavasana. Slowly start to bring your awareness back to your body. You wiggle your fingers, your toes. Make some wrist circles, ankle circles. And let your head drop over to the left. And then over to the right. And then when you're ready, roll over onto one side, pausing there for a moment. And then when you're ready, push yourself up to seated with your eyes closed. If you'd like, you can place your hands at heart center. Take a nice deep breath here. And take a moment to notice how you feel. Notice the difference in your thoughts, your breath, and your body from when you first got here. Will you feel a little more peace and a little less tension in your body? Will you be able to take this with you throughout the rest of your day? Thank you for your practice and your presence. Namaste. Thank you all so much. Please let me know if you have any questions about anything. And hopefully we will see you all again next week. Also, I teach yin tomorrow, Sundays at 4, if you're ever interested in that. Thank you. Oh, I think I'm unmuting you, Ruth, and you're, I don't know how she's leaving. Okay, I was trying to unmute her. Thank you, Sophia. Have a good weekend. Good to see you.